This is so exciting. I absolutely adore my friend Erin. So Erin is my friend. Erin Gunzelman is my friend that is amazing, does all kinds of really interesting quantum teachings, breath work, all kinds of things. And this is my friend that we get together and we talk about oscillating consciousness and how humans are really oscillating consciousness and all these really far out quantum perspectives, which actually are very simple. It comes down to very simple perspective of we are nature and the things that make up the universe make up us, that we are both in the universe and of the universe. And it sounds complicated, but I promise it's actually just really, really simple. And this conversation with Erin, I felt like really had a lot of, well, there were a lot of really beautiful moments. I wanted to talk to Erin about love mostly because Erin embodies love in such an interesting, beautiful way and really, really loves. But we talk about what that actually means in this episode. So I hope you enjoy listening to Erin talk about love as much as I enjoy talking to Erin about love. Erin, so excited to have you on the show. I have wanted to have you on the show for a while. So thank you for making the time.
I'm so happy to be here. So happy to chat with you and see you again. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have we have so many things that we could talk about. But I wanna know how tomorrow is because it's tomorrow where you are, and I'm just wondering how
Oh,
tomorrow is going for us.
I am in the future. Yeah, I'm currently in Australia. I am on kind of near the coast of Australia at the moment. Yeah, it's wild. Time's not real.
Isn't it crazy that I mean, it's really interesting that when we're trying to organize this, and I was like, "I'm just gonna say what time I can do at my time, and you can tell me if that works for wherever you are."
Yeah. Yeah, the time zone converter is like bookmarked on my tab lately because I moved so quickly between one side of the earth to another.
Mhm.
Yeah, because the last time I saw you, I was in Florida. Yeah, with
I
you.
know, which I'm so
Yeah.
glad that I got to connect with you before you shot off to another place around the world.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah. It
yeah.
tends to be how I do it. Yeah, I get an inkling and then we're off to the
And you
races. Yeah.
said like it's usually in May and it's usually quick. And it really was. It was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I say that, but I didn't even realize until the plans were already in motion that had kind of, I guess because of the weather in Florida, because it wasn't like a full winter. So I didn't get this transition into spring like I normally do. I noticed my feet getting itchy. And again, I don't know if you follow astrology or these archetypes, the luminaries in the sky. That's really, as I've, journeyed through life, noticed there are lots of patterns and parallels, congruencies like that show up in my life and in the collective in other people's lives that are, yeah, like really related. I get itchy feet right around springtime, and then by my birthday in June it's like, yeah, making some kind of change. Sometimes I change location and sometimes it's like a new career or like just, yeah,
Some
random.
of us just change our hair, Erin. Like we
Yeah.
like, I need new hair. I need something different. Erin goes and
I've literally never dyed my hair ever in
oh,
my life. It's so funny. Yeah. I
that's
will sell every piece of furniture I own and get rid of everything I have and move across the world, but I have never dyed my hair.
well, I mean, yeah, it's probably healthier that way in some ways. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, depending on what you use. Yeah.
All right, I have to talk to you about love because I wanted to start there. Of course, I want to talk about like how you got into quantum physics. Were you always a quantum physics geek and how that
Okay.
started relating to health? But you are probably the only person I know that loves everyone, like really, truly loves everyone. You say love you and you mean it to
Yeah.
strangers, to everybody. And I don't know how these are my goals. Like I don't feel
Yeah.
that.
If I had a nickel for every time someone has said that, yeah, I totally get it because, well, I don't totally get it because honestly, I think it's something to do with my design. It's easy for me to default into seeing God in everything. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that that's not pretty much the way that I've always been.
Mm,
However, sometimes I think it was like, a method of bypass. Because of that, I could put myself in situations and circumstances where I wasn't always treated with the respect or, you know, yeah, just the way that I deserved. And yeah, I think it's easier for me. So it was easier for me for a long time to explain and to intellectualize
mhm,
why someone might not be kind to me or loving. And so I would dive deep into trying to understand another person as a way to kind of, I think, avoid and deflect the pain that it was actually causing me to receive certain treatment. And
mhm.
I think it's part of why I got into quantum physics and all the geeky stuff. It is safer for me to live in my brain and in my mind. It's a
Uh-huh.
lot safer for me to go there and to think my way through a problem and logic and reason and analyze. At least it was for a long time for me compared to like feeling my feelings and then acting based on that feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. No, who
And
wants
so
to do
it's
that?
different.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone how we like arrive in this space.
Mhm.
But it's just been this like continuous sort of like peeling back of the layers and really surrendering to the truth, which is that everything that we exist in is made or comes from the same source, which is just unconditional love. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I think that's one of those things we all know what love is, but we don't have a definition. We don't really like it. Yeah, it's just it's an ineffable, like there's no way to articulate it. English
Right.
fails, I think. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
completely I'm with you when I know that it's all from one source. I
Yeah.
get that it's unconditional love or whatever words we might
Yeah.
use. And then in the everyday, it's
Yeah.
really challenging to just love everyone and see and I
Yes.
appreciate that you're sharing the, some of the more, I don't know if you would call it naive side of that, where you
Yeah.
love so much that you don't see some things. But I have wanted for a very long time. That has been my prayer is to see love, see God in all things. And I just, I mean, meeting you, there are so many things that are really beautiful that you're like, this is too cool. But you couldn't, like you couldn't have planned this.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, you're in Florida? Well, hang on, I'll be right there.
The
Um,
synchronicities.
the
Yeah.
synchronicities, the just the beautiful moments, I can
Yeah.
capture it there, but the day-to-day stuff, more challenging.
Yeah. Super challenging at times. And yeah, I was just thinking like there is a bypassing. I've been thinking about this a lot lately,
Mhm.
actually. It's like the shadow side of having a really big capacity for empathy and for compassion. There's like shadowy bits, like every strength, there are shadows, right? And so
The
it's
dark
not something
bits,
that's,
yes.
yeah, the dark, sticky bits. And so it's not always something that's a good or bad. These like dualistic sort of, we get what we get. And so I think yeah, I think it's been sometimes bypassing, sometimes safer. But now, yeah, love as a concept, it means something completely different to me. And it is like the magic and just moving through the world in a certain way that brings more truth and more light into every situation.
Which is true. I mean, that's true.
Yeah,
It brings more
yeah,
light. And so when you're in the middle of a sticky situation where it's just not seeming like it's going your way or whatever, like, what
yeah.
is your self-talk? Like, how do you get yourself well, I know you get itchy feet and leave maybe, but you're like, "See ya." I'm not attached to anybody or anything here. I can pack my crap and go. But
Mhm.
I mean, I'm just wondering how this process has been for you.
It used to be a bit of like a running, I think, when I was younger. It used to
Mhm.
be, oh no, I'm panicked. I don't want to be here. I'm not safe, or whatever the
Yeah.
reason. And I could, yeah, my friends would always say, like, non-attachment is your superpower. I would just get up and go. And my dad would say things when I was young, like, the grass doesn't grow under Erin's feet. I just don't like staying in one spot.
Yeah.
That's part of my design. But there's so there's something about like when we wish for peace, I think part of what happens is the universe meets us with something that's going to like really rattle our peace. Like, how do you create more peace or love or joy? Well, you threaten it, or you have to learn the opposite of the thing to really truly know what you're experiencing is the real thing. And so I talk a lot about the magic and the synchronicities, and it's true. Like, I live in a way, so that's what I experience. But it is also true that I really struggle and I've known real pain.
Mhm.
I've shared a bit about this on social media, and I plan to keep continuing to share more and more because I really want others to understand this journey that I had with what Western medicine calls endometriosis was just one point of like that stickiness that you're talking about, like this darkness. I've spent a lot of time in physical pain and a lot of emotional pain. It's related, right? Avoiding emotional pain, it shows up in certain ways in our body. And so I think knowing very deep darkness allows us to kind of shift out. I talk about comedians all the time. Like, comedians to me are some of the most enlightened people on the planet. They know darkness. That's why they're so funny. Like, they really get it. They've been worked around an issue or a cause or an experience every which way, and then they can stand up and laugh about it and make others laugh about it. And that's what's so beautiful, about sort of like transmuting and alchemizing our pain. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is alchemy. Like, how can I alchemize laying on the floor for 3 days in and out of consciousness because my body is shutting down because Lord only knows what's happening in my pelvis, or a lot of like I've experienced a lot of like religious trauma. There's a lot of like addiction and that sort of thing that I grew up around, all sorts of, yeah, yeah, all kinds of trauma. So it's just finding your way through that, sort of alchemizing all those emotions, and yeah, understanding that we're all actually really connected and holding space for the very uncomfortable paradox of being a human,
Mhm.
the light and the dark. Yeah.
Mhm. And I appreciate you
Hmm.
sharing that too, because when I came to you, all I saw was this bright, beautiful light. And
Oh,
just like so, because you do draw people in, you have to know. Your light draws people in. And
I
then,
know that now. I didn't always know that. Yeah.
well, because enough of us keep telling you, like, this is
Yeah.
you're
I'm
just
learning.
this
Yeah.
bright, beautiful light. And I really appreciated learning some of your story. And there is
Hmm.
this place of like, you don't need to share everything with everybody, but if it's all shiny and bright and beautiful all the time, people don't understand the alchemy, that the process, and then they don't know,
Yeah.
and I think just seeing some of your pictures of like before and your own healing journey was really, really helpful for me. I was like, wow, because it's so beautiful to see, but it's also so hopeful. You know, it's not all it's not all rosy and sunshine and all,
Yeah.
well, sunshine's the answer. I'm just
Well,
convinced of that, but
I
that's
mean, maybe it is. Yeah. Like gosh, like I started to get a little emotional while you were talking, just because I can't tell you how. I mean, that's why I do it. Like, I am sharing that stuff because it's so easy to post the highlight reel or to share all the funny moments. I mean, I'm my favorite person to hang out with, and I think it's really fun in my head. I am
Yeah.
constantly thinking of jokes or laughing and like that kind of thing. Even in those really shitty moments, it's like I am laughing in a way because I understand like what I really am and who I really am, which is a multidimensional being. This is a human body, this divine gift, this beautiful thing that has been gifted to me so that I can experience physical reality. But I know the truth that I am a soul. Like this pocket, I am a soul and I want to nourish my soul. I want to nourish my body. Like all of that, and knowing the truth is how I can hold myself in those moments of both. But if you're posting or talking or only sharing about the highlight reel and the good moments, it's so easy for other people to project this idea that your life is perfect and everything comes easily for this person and that kind of thing. But yeah, like, and that's so important to me, is to show up authentically and honestly. Like, no, I'm having a hard time, and this is how I'm moving through it. And this is how I think about it and relate to it in my mind. Or, yeah, like this experience. Cause I've been playing with this concept, this idea lately of, what is healing? Healing from healing. We're all healing and the biohacks and all the things. And it's like, we
Yeah.
heal when we meet life, like
Yeah.
we meet life, and that is the medicine. Like that is where that has been the only times that I've actually made big huge leaps forward in my own journey and in the journeys that I've been lucky enough to witness up close. My friends and people close to me and my mentors. It's like we just move with what the universe is going to throw at us, because the universe, it's going to throw whatever we need, regardless of how many cold plunges we're doing or how much supplements we're taking.
I do.
It's so much more simple, I think, than we have made it out to be, because of what you're saying.
Yes. And I've been it's not that doesn't surprise me that it's been coming up quite a bit lately in a way that I love healing. It is
Yeah.
like it's everything to me. My whole life
Feeling good in your body.
always like
Yeah.
and always just the word healing and moving towards healing. But it can be if you're not in your life, like,
Yeah.
what is and I've just been really working with that and even sort of resistantly working with that, if I'm really
Well,
honest.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dang, that's not what I wanted." I want it to be all, moving
Mhm.
towards the light and light and light. And the darkness is so important with that light and being in your life, because I also have used healing and
Yeah.
cold plunging and all of the things. I've done all of the
Totally.
things and sitting with, really incredible healers in different places in the world. Cool experiences, but
Yeah.
almost an effort to do something outside of my life. It is my life, but
Yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying?
externalizing it, right?
Externalize.
Yeah. And that's, I
Yeah.
think, part of our programming. We're totally programmed. I mean, I know for like ages, I mean, that was my whole problem, is like looking outside of myself for a savior or someone. It's funny, like we move a lot of times from these like materialistic concepts of, oh, well, I don't, the money doesn't make me happy. So what really matters is my health and this and this and this. But then we get kind of caught into like a similar trap of,
Yeah.
I need the water structure device. I need the red light device. And it's the kind of the same thing, but we don't realize it because it's so unconscious. It's so deeply ingrained. I mean, we've all been there, I think, in some capacity, whether it's, yeah, like the biohacky stuff or some spiritual concept, even. It's like, yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean.
Well, and then if you're not, because we're doing, I need this device, and now I need to do that, and now I need
Yeah.
to, if it's almost like if you're not sick, wh- what's the point? So you're almost like you're keeping yourself sick so you can keep yourself healing.
That's something I literally just made an audio note last night of like taking more responsibility for the role in our healing. Like
Yeah.
if we're saying I'm sick or I need this or something, like what we're really saying, or I'll be happy when,
Yeah.
all of that is really just saying I'm never going to be happy or I'm never going to be healed. Or I mean, energetically speaking, and it's all just the energetics of it. It's like, how can I take more responsibility here and recognize that a shift internally, whether it's my perspective, whether it's how I'm thinking about something, a belief that I'm holding, that is going to be what materializes in the external. That's going to get me the desired outcome that I want versus, oh, I'm going to manipulate and control and wish that reality was different, when really I could surrender and accept the fact that I know, even though it's pretty dark right now, it's all leading me toward the light. I mean, that's really what it is, because darkness is not absence of light. It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I mean, scientifically speaking, when I get geeky about it, like, yeah.
I like it when you do that because I think that's
Yeah.
why when I landed somehow on your Instagram page at some point, you were
Yeah.
talking about food is light. I was like, oh, this is my chick. We could hang
Yeah.
out because like everything is light and food is light and it's
Literally.
information and we are light. Yeah. So I think that that's important to really acknowledge. Yeah, that all of that is really an important
Yeah.
piece, and if I'm chasing healing, like, can't I just so what I've done lately, can see what you think of this, is just kinda shift my perspective to, I just want cool experiences that have to do with healing, not that I'm chasing it. I just want these
Yeah.
fun experiences because I don't need to chase something that's already mine, that's already inherently in me.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, can I imagine it? Like, can I see myself as the version that I want to experience? Can I see myself, living this life, having these experiences, whatever it is? Can I visualize it? And if the answer is yes, which it usually is, that means it's happening, right? If we can pull it from the ether into our imagination, like daydreaming is another form of planning, that means it exists. And the more time we spend feeling in those states, like feeling the emotions, I mean, using all five of our physical senses, like, seeing, smelling, like, what does it smell like when I'm eating the food that is going to nourish me the most, or whatever, or getting the job that I want, or something like that. It's like, that is going to help us move closer towards operating as that version of ourselves. And then the universe will have no choice but to reflect that back to us in our reality, because on a quantum level, it's all vibrations, it's all light, it's sound. And so, yeah, internally, the only thing we can control is how we are being in whatever chaos is swirling around us. It's be, do, have, right? Like, we be the thing, take the inspired action to do. It's not even really doing something, right? Like, what is healing? My body already knows. My body freaking does it all the time. I don't tell it to beat my heart or make a scab or whatever function. It just does it. I'm the one that gets in the way half the time, shoving supplements in my body and like got a blue light in my face or whatever else, like I
Mhm.
get in the way of it. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Getting out of our own way has been coming up a lot lately too, and just
Okay.
how to do that. But you brought up quantum, so we might as well talk a little more quantum
Let's do
and
it. Yeah.
yeah, so you always I know you're really bright, and I'm
Oh,
sure that well, I mean, you were also you grew up, you were smart, and you got plucked for being like,
yeah.
"Be smart, let's put her to work." But were you always kind of quantum physics related? Did you like that info? No.
No, and I don't know if it was like I was intimidated. Like, I never even took a science course in college. Like, I never took chemistry or biology. I took physical geography. I was a geography major.
Oh,
Like,
that's not
I
funny. I mean, that's
really,
not a surprise.
it's
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah.
Because I love to be different. Like, that's really, I just really like to be unique. That's been like my thing. It's like my top three compliment. I've got a couple that really get me going. My ego really likes, and being unique is one of them. And so,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I wasn't always super, but it kind of just naturally happened. Like, things just came easily for me in that realm, math and science and that sort of thing. But it wasn't until, because I really liked computers because I was a geography major. I loved the human geography aspect of it. I love people and connecting with them.
Mhm.
But then I realized like halfway through, like, oh my heavens, what am I going to do for work? And so I started coding.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, yeah, I was like, oh God, like I can't, there are no city planner jobs. Like what, that doesn't sound fun suddenly. And so I started, yeah, I went and I got a graduate certificate in geographic information sciences. And so I started coding and that's how I got plucked. Yeah. And I think I liked code because it's just so fun to think about reality. It's a totally different way of thinking. It's yes or no. And that's not normally how my mind works. My mind loves
Agree.
14 different perspectives. Yeah. And like
Mhm.
holding really uncomfortable, like, well, this could be true and this could be true and this could be true. But with code, it's like, if this is true, then this happens. And that's it. And it's like a really fun way to think about things. And so, yeah, the quantum stuff kind of just naturally happened as I was sick,
Yeah.
and looking for answers. And the doctors, I mean, for years and years, decades, like just couldn't help me, couldn't. And I would joke like having an autoimmune condition is basically going back to get like a medical degree without the MD behind your name.
Yep. It is.
And
Mhm.
you are really familiar with that because you come from academia. It's like such a different, yeah, it's a really, yeah. But I love everything. Yeah, arts and science. And it's, yeah.
You do. I mean, that's why we started with love because you
Yes.
love everything and you, like, go on this
I
beautiful
just love
journey with it.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I c
Hmm.
And really, once you start geeking out on the whole quantum space, and really, I got interested in applied quantum biology because then I was like, so we can take this information and talk about what's going on inside the body. How
Yeah.
cool is that? Like, it just doesn't feel like anything's more exciting than that to me at the moment.
Well, yeah, like the application is what makes it useful. Like I
Yeah,
get so excited when people send me DMs or they join, like I just launched a Patreon, people comment and things like that because it means to me it's a signal that people are trying to apply this stuff to their real life. I was
yeah,
just talking about fractals recently. It's like our atoms are fractals of the solar system.
right,
Like the way those things are orbiting the nucleus inside our cells are it's literally how a moon moves around a planet like that. If we can think about our bodies a little bit differently and maybe relate to them a little bit differently, like this concept, like this healing that we're talking about, like what does it really mean
right,
to be healed? Will we ever even get, is there a healed person out there? I've never met one, so I don't know, you know what I mean? Like
right.
super super cool. The application is, yeah. Yeah. The knowledge doesn't mean much, I don't think, because like I think for a long time there was just lots of knowledge in my head, but I wasn't applying it. So I was suffering quite a bit. I was pretty miserable.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing is that
Yeah.
once you figure out the applied part of it, then it's
Yeah.
just really more about being in harmony. That's
Yes.
really all it
Balance.
is. It's balance, harmony, whatever word you want to get into
Yeah.
with that. But it's not that complicated. It's like some of the
Yeah.
science is kind of woo, it can go really interesting because just by being observed, a particle can
Yeah.
change to a wave. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a wild concept, but truly it just means that the possibilities and what makes up the universe makes up us. Like how cool is that?
Yeah, so beautiful that you just said that. Yeah. I mean, and I know things. I know that I hold a lot of information, but I don't claim to be an expert in anything. It's definitely like a jack of all trades kind of vibe. I feel like I know a
Mhm.
little bit about enough things, but that's yeah, like connecting the dots and really this, oh,
Uh-huh.
the balance and the harmony that you're talking about. I mean, that's nature. That's literally what nature
Yeah.
is, not complicated. If we are confused, if it feels complicated every single time, I'm always like, what that they like look to nature because it's not,
Because
nature's not
nature doesn't
confusing.
do that. Yeah. And
No.
that's to me is a sign that we have hooked in, bought into the chaos. Like we're swirling in the
Yes.
chaos that's around us,
Yep.
but there's always a true north. You can
Yes.
always come back, and nature is the best source for me.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Yes.
so many people that I've talked to return to true north. get yourself
Every time.
reoriented and
Yes,
stop the
every
chaos.
time.
Stop getting
Yeah, it's a
circling the
chaos
chaos.
or yeah, or we're
Oh,
like operating from the programming or
yeah,
a trauma situation or an old wound or something like that. Cause I mean that's really the whole journey. It's like we're just trying to get to know ourselves at the most authentic level. That's really what life is all about for me. And that's why I think I see and I tell every person telepathically that I love them because I know that we're all just on the same journey and you are learning about different
true.
aspects of yourself that maybe I've already learned, but like there are aspects that that I have no idea about. Like everyone's a teacher, everyone is got a message or a gift or something contributing to the fabric of our reality. We're all connected on a quantum level and made out of the same stuff, just like nature. It really is like it's
Yeah.
all connected. Yeah.
Yeah. And the word authenticity and being authentic gets
Mm.
thrown around a lot. And I just found it personally, my journey to be more authentic is really bumpy. It's like this bumpy ass ride. I did not think it should be. Like when I set out to be like more authentic in my life, I don't know, at least a decade ago, right? I thought it was just going to be like unfolding. I don't know. I didn't think it would be like bam, bam, slamming into things and realize and like just bumpy and having to navigate my authenticity doesn't mean I get to hurt you or someone, right? That
Yeah.
place like this, I'm just speaking my truth or I'm just being myself is like, but you're also
Oh,
being really ugly to other people in the
yeah.
process. Like,
Right.
I don't
Yeah, there's
know.
a way to, I think, yeah, like self-expression is just, gosh, it's such a like a fun and adventurous thing to discuss because triggering someone else isn't actually your problem, right? Like when I sit and I say
True.
things like what's that?
True. I was like, that's true. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's for me, like you want to talk about an empath shadow, like a younger version of myself would have just been like, oh my heavens, I'm so sorry for existing. Let me scoop up your shit and I'll carry it with me. Like, I will make myself smaller so that you're more comfortable and can move through the world however you're choosing to do that and that kind of thing. And so it's this fine line, I think, of really recognizing like there's a way to express yourself that has no bearing on, or like you're not flinging poop around onto other people or anything like that,
Right.
but it might, and we have to know like other people will perceive us. What can you hold the judgment of whoever and their perspectives perceiving you? That's a bigger topic, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Like, cause there's a subconscious piece at play too. Like we might consciously be like, yeah, I know this shit. I'm going to talk about quantum physics all day long. I'm going to tell people that the root cause of cancer is their emotions. I'm going to say it loud and proud. I'm going to do all that. But subconsciously, if we're afraid of being perceived in any capacity or by too much, we will sabotage or we will, oh, all of the things. I mean, there's so many things that could happen. It really is like we don't even know we're wearing masks a lot of the time, I
Yeah.
think. And yeah, it is like I think a bit of a lifelong journey, and there's this like piece of self-worth, like how deeply rooted are you in your own worth, so that others don't shake you when they are projecting something onto you or whatever. And can you apologize? Because inherently I think we all are just going to like hurt other people. My that is, like I would never want to hurt another person. But if you're feeling feelings because of something I've said, there's actually nothing I can do about that except for hold space,
Right.
I think.
You're
Yeah, maybe
exactly
that will
right. And
change.
I think you just hit it though, like the nail on the head. Why it's been so bumpy is the fear of what that is
Yeah.
going to do for other people, which
Yeah.
holds us back
What
from
will that
being
mean?
authentic. Yeah. What
Yes.
will that mean? And you're right. I'm much more of the like, oh, I'll hold your shit and I'll just be, I totally relate to that and being small.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, I mean, I just think I love comedians because comedians can make everything better. But I
Totally.
love unapologetically being funny, and you're
Yeah.
going to say things that are going to offend some people, and you
Yeah.
can't do anything about that as a comedian, and I think that has been what has been the hardest part for me, being authentic,
Yeah.
is worrying about what other people are thinking or doing or and that
Yeah.
that it's upsetting somebody. It
Right.
that is
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, and, like, getting canceled. I've watched not
Mm,
only people I know, like, people I love and respect get "canceled," quote, unquote, but also, like, these celebrity situations. Their whole job is to take it to an extreme and to say things that make you uncomfortable, so you start to see the world differently. Like, how else are we gonna change and create a new earth or however you want to think about it if
mhm,
we don't get uncomfortable? Like, it doesn't just happen while we're sitting on our couch being spoon fed whatever thing we're watching on TV or the show, or it's like we've got to start thinking and getting uncomfortable, new ideas, new perspectives. I seek it out at this point in my life. I'm like, ooh, if you can trigger me, like, I'm after you because you're going to show me something in myself
uh-huh,
that will probably help me expand into this other version of myself. I mean, it's almost recognizable. You brought up my photos. Like, I literally went from face covered in acne and couldn't even form a whole sentence. Like, there was one point in my life where I literally couldn't end a sentence, like finish it with a period. I would put, like, I don't know. Like, I just seemed so unsure of myself constantly. I'd be like, yeah, so I like the purple, but I don't know. Or, it's like I couldn't even like make decisions. And yeah, I just really want anyone that will listen to me, if they are here, like, you can shift, you can change, we can evolve, we can be whatever we want.
mhm,
It might be a bumpy road, like you're saying. It's gonna get rocked sometimes. You gotta see the bits. But it does get easier, I think, because now I have these dips and I go back down into those low spaces, but I come out much faster. And while I'm in them, it's a totally different experience. Um, yeah, to navigate those darker places with the consciousness, the expanded perspective of what it actually means to be low or to be scared or to be afraid, and just holding ourselves with a lot of compassion and a lot of love, because it's totally normal. We have been conditioned to feel like we're going to die, literally, if we speak our truth, which is crazy. It's just insane. I mean, that's literally, we're here with a message, every single one of us. And some of us, we might have like a little cowbell triangle. Some of us, you see these people, they've got like whole freaking marching bands, shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Every single sound is important. Everyone has a song and they're meant to sing it. So, yeah,
mhm.
sorry for my rant. I'm just
I
really
love the
passionate about
rant.
it.
I think
Yeah.
it's perfect, and I just think the more self-worth you have,
Yeah.
the more sentences you can complete with a period
Yeah.
and not add on or over, everything just gets I really do think it comes down to self-love. That's been coming up over and over and over again, and being
And
super
that's really, I mean, yeah, saying I love you to like someone on the street. I mean, in that
compassionate.
same moment,
Yeah.
that's really what is happening. Yeah, it's like I'm actually like our I find that too. Like, I've talked about this before, but I was like scrolling back, looking at old videos on my own Instagram and remembering like the moment and what I was going through at the time that I made them. And I was saying really loving things to myself without even really knowing it. But it's like we speak the message that we need to hear. And so it just so happens that there were other people that also needed to hear that message. And if I wouldn't have spoken it, not only from myself, but those people, like, maybe the world would have looked kind of different. And I don't think it's an accident that when I was holding a lot of those messages in my body and not speaking them, I didn't feel very good, not physically, not emotionally, not spiritually. Right. And so, like, again, this meeting life and that being the healing, yeah, it's really shifted how I approach all challenge, all hardship, all of the things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Evolution.
and I do seek out if somebody triggers me now, I too am like, "Well, here we go. We're sitting on a truth that I don't wanna swallow, so might as well look at it." It's almost like a game
Yeah.
it doesn't feel good, but I definitely agree with you that I move through things in a different way. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's not uncomfortable, but I'm much more open and curious,
Yeah.
and I just think
Yeah.
that's so important because I keep hearing the people who are stuck with a belief or a because I do my best to not be dogmatic about food or nutrition, but I'm very opinionated
Yeah.
about these things. Like food is life.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all I have.
you're really knowledgeable. Like you really know your shit. Yeah, that's one of the things I love
Well,
about you for
we've s
sure. Yeah.
I've stay open though. Like I just think
Yeah.
if you start to get closed and you're offended by something,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting place. So I agree that
Yeah.
this is that
Yeah.
meeting life on life's terms and like life is moving you
Yeah.
towards the light. Like
Yeah. Well,
that's
because if I showed up at, we just hung out. So it's like if I would have showed up and met you in person and started
yeah.
talking about, the pink spaceship that I was about to hop on and we were going to head to Mars and whatever, you'd be like, that's odd. That's okay. You know what I mean? But it probably wouldn't trigger you because like you
Mhm.
knew it wasn't true. You'd be like, that's probably not going to happen. I mean, maybe, but either way, I don't really care, right? Like, usually the things that are bugging us, there's truth somewhere
That's
trickled
right.
in there. I feel like there's
Mhm.
something about us that is afraid, like you're saying, or something like that. It's like, well, what will they think? Or, if somebody says, yeah, I'm trying to think of like a better example, like you're saying about food or something, but, um,
Well,
yeah, like
because I
about
just
what their beliefs are. Like if I start
yeah,
talking about what I think disease is caused by and it
yeah.
triggers you, right? Like if I say the endometriosis symptoms that I experienced were related to a lot of like wounds around specific things.
Mhm.
And that as I healed those wounds and moved through that, I experienced a lot less physical pain. It might make someone who's really dependent on the allopathic medical system or something like that, or really put a lot of power in an external source to save them. It might make them uncomfortable because then they would have to look at this belief that something outside of them or that they had the power to heal themselves, I guess is really what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
As an example.
As
Yeah.
an example. Well, and I thought about the post that you did, which I thought was so great, but you were just talking about your vegan days that you
Oh, yeah.
felt like that was a trauma response. And I was like, that's so beautiful. But I
Maybe
just
not for everyone, right? Of
right.
course, like that was my
Sure.
experience though, for sure. Yeah. Like we
Yeah.
talked about that empathy shadow.
Right. Well, and it's also just that when we jump on a bandwagon of some sort,
Yeah.
like what is going on there? And
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And like, yeah, these mainstream sort of trends and things like that. I mean, trust me, I think it's friggin' cool as hell that like healing is trendy and like,
for sure.
spirituality and like, all of this stuff, like doing self work. Like, how beautiful is that? My parents' generation did not have the space or the tools or the resources to do that kind of stuff. It's trendy and cool these days. Like, hell yeah. Like, I'm down. Let's do it, but also check like where's the money, who's connected in this, what's really going on behind the message, like get really clear and dig in a little bit before you just kind of blindly, right? Like if you're not thinking for yourself, like you're kind of really, I mean, maybe this is extreme, but you're kind of operating from like a slave mentality in a lot of ways.
For sure.
Maybe that's not the best word, but yeah, there's like this submissive sort of acceptance, yeah, of the herd. And I don't know if that serves, yeah, us in this
What
journey.
does it serve, right? It's certainly not
Yeah,
serving a new earth or
right. The
whatever.
agenda of
Mhm.
something else that may or may
Yeah,
not have your best interest in mind or even care about your interest. Yeah, exactly.
and all healing to me is self-healing, so we're not meant to do it
Yeah,
alone. I don't think we're meant
no.
to do it alone, but anything that comes outside of us, any help or guidance or
Yes.
any of that, it only
Yes.
can be received and then used internally. Like, it has to
Yes.
all healing is comes from within. So
And the good and the bad. Yeah, like hanging out with you, that was a healing in my mind, right? Like I
yeah,
got to hang out. We swung on the swings and it
it was
was so
good.
freaking fun, like just
And
bopping
children kicked
around
us off of
Clearwater.
the swings.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, the person who really hurt my feelings a couple months ago, like that was also a healing. And me meeting life in both of those moments produced the healing, right? Like maybe, I mean, in a way, both of those events made me love on myself harder. I eat better. I make better choices for my schedule and my day. I spend my money differently. I talk differently to someone else who, if I catch myself in a judgment, it's like I am positive that there's just something about that person that I don't know. There's something about that person that I can't see, or there's something going on. It's like we are all carrying a lot and doing the best that we can. And that doesn't mean that we like invite them into our home and save them or anything like that, but we can hold space and loving compassion for everyone, I think, for sure.
Yes. And I think you're an example of that. So
Oh.
we'll just keep watching you do it and hopefully it rubs. I wanted to just well, I know I don't want to keep you for too long and it's getting dark, so I have to, get my blue blockers on.
Is I know it's crazy how quick
I've
that just
got the
happened.
red my blue blocking stuff going on. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about breath work because I'm trying to understand it from a quantum perspective, and this may be more than we can do, but I just wanted to get
Oh,
your thoughts about like because some of the breath work, because I think about the breath like being a nose breather, really important for mitochondrial health. But a lot of the
totally.
breath work, because that's I before I even met you, I did one of your breath work sessions,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's hard. I love breath work, but it really does push you to your edges and
That style, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was like a pretty, yeah, it can.
well, yeah, it's only like me to just go to the most intense first. But I think it's important and I think it's helpful to do breath work, and it makes sense that it's related to all of the quantum, but I can't quite put words to it.
Yeah. Well, geez, I mean, you're right. It is like such a big conversation. I bet
Yeah.
you put more words to it than you're letting on, because to me, so breath is the chi, it's our life force energy. And when we intentionally override, right, like that unconscious, we breathe while we sleep kind of system and force it to do a different pattern, like that style that I taught in that group healing, it's technically inducing a bit of like a stress response in our body. It's stimulating all of our glands, the hypothalamus, all the things, because we're oxygenating our bloodstream. And so quantumly speaking, to me, just in really simple terms, it's like we're pulling more energy into our body and we're circulating that energy. It's more of like an energetic conversation, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is true that we hold densities in our field, right? Our heart's emitting this electromagnetic frequency. We've got a torus field, however you want to think about it, right? Like around us. And those things that are heavy or dense, the stuff that we hold on to, that we've been conditioned to think that we need, these beliefs like, oh, if I speak my truth, I'll be excommunicated or whatever the heck it is, right? Breath work to me is like a quick inroad to shaking that stuff up out and alchemizing the emotions or the stuck feelings in our body that are actually preventing more of the things that we want to experience get to us. And that's why I love it. I use it when I'm having a hard time, like maybe big emotions, I'm going through a big experience, or even just to tap into my creativity and pull in more of the field. I've been thinking about this too, right? Like the field, we know the field exists. We don't technically understand all of the properties of the field and how it operates,
Hmm.
but there is this field that underlies all of creation that we, by birthright, have access to all of the time, kind of like happiness and joy. Like those are choices that we can really intentionally cultivate and that kind of thing. And I think a lot of it is just dropping the heavy stuff that we're not meant to be carrying. And so, yeah, I don't know. Does that answer kind of a little
Yeah,
bit
it
of the question?
does. I
Yeah.
love yeah, we could go on for, I think, days
Yeah,
right
for
there
sure.
because I
Yeah.
that's so people got a little taste, but you have your own podcast.
Yeah.
So hopefully people are like, "Wait,
Yeah.
what is she talking about?" They
Yeah.
can come over there and hear all about these
I got
things.
a lot to say. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got all
which I
kinds of things
love.
going on.
So it gives people and that does help me because I feel like I was trying to define it a little too tightly, and I think it makes
Well,
much more sense to think about it in terms of energy. Of course,
yeah.
breath is life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
without the breath, there's no life. And just in terms of the ether and this quantum field and accessing that
Exactly.
field. And it makes sense to
Yes.
me that the breath would obviously help move some stuff out
Yeah,
of the
because it's
way
one
to
of
be
those
able to
things.
access. Mhm.
Yeah, like in terms of, automatic and sympathetic and the different functions of our body, like we
Mhm.
can't control and like speed up our heart rate with I mean, we technically can, you know what I mean? Like if you run or something like that, but our breath, I mean, we are in complete control of it. And also it does its thing when we're not automatically overriding it.
Thank
So
goodness.
it's like the one, yeah, like window or the doorway that is always open in my mind. Yeah, that we can use
I love that.
and relate back to our nervous system and everything else. Yeah, it is really cool. I'm so glad you asked. It's such a cool conversation.
It
Yeah.
is really cool, and I love because I love nourishing the nervous system. Like,
Yep.
that
Yeah.
seems and I do that mostly by being in nature and thinking about my
Yes.
food in that way and thinking about but I wanna know,
Yeah.
what is really nourishing your body, mind, soul right now?
Mm. Well, right now it's a lot of slowness and stillness. I'm meditating a lot more than I have lately, and I talk a lot about I don't know a lot about astrology. I just am super fascinated by it in terms of patterns and things like that. But I have like a stellium in Gemini. I have a lot of Gemini energy in my design. And we've just had a couple of massive transits. I think there's like Jupiter, Venus in Gemini, like a lot of things going on. And so again, it's like the weather. It's not like I'm a victim to these larger collective energies, but my thinky think brain gets very thinky think when that is what's happening and is up for the collective. And so I double down on tools like meditating or walking in nature. I mean, I am traveling in Australia right now, but I'm intentionally choosing small towns. I stay near the coast if I want to dip myself in the ocean. Yeah, like just getting out into nature and getting my feet on the ground. Seeing sunrise is super important for me every day. Like I feel off if I don't. And that's super nourishing. And yeah, like I'd intentionally, I don't really restrict myself with diet. I eat really intuitively these days. It always surprises people. And they're always like, well, what do you eat? Because Lil Miss Quantum Nutrition, like, what does she eat? I eat what I want. Like I ate a whole pizza the other night with a friend of mine, like a whole ass pizza for dinner, and it was delicious, and I loved it. And and then sometimes I wake up and I eat beef liver for my breakfast. So
Right.
it's all about balance, like we were saying, the harmony and the balance, and it's taken me a while to get to the point where I can like tune into like really what is my body asking for right now? Does it need to sit down and meditate? Do we need to do some breath work? Because it might mean that I need to go take a run. Like I need to exercise. Like that's another thing too. Is like our nervous systems are not all hardwired the same way. So I know lots of people who exercise all the time. They're like super in shape, fit, but their nervous systems are a mess because they don't take time to slow down, get calm and quiet. And so, yeah, I've been taking a lot of baths. I do a lot of Epsom salt baths. It's kind of my thing.
Mhm.
Tea. Yeah. Laughing.
Yes,
Yeah.
you taught me to start giggling, just
Yeah.
giggle if you're having a really rough time, just start giggling
Yeah.
and just
Yeah, and
chuckling.
like not taking it too seriously because I think the stress of being like, oh, am I not making the right choice? Am I making the right choice? That's half the battle sometimes.
Right, and not that we would giggle through a really horrible situation, but, like,
Yeah.
just when you're having a bad, rough day,
Yeah.
try a little giggle,
Let
but
yourself have a bad day.
let yourself
Cry. Yeah.
yeah.
I cry every day. I just told someone this. Like I don't think I literally will sometimes cry and then take a selfie within 2 minutes and post it and people will be like, wow, you look great. I'm like, I was just crying. I was just sometimes they're happy tears, but like like let the emotions move through
Move.
you. Yeah.
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 Yeah, not holding the yeah, it's
No.
yeah. I know I used
Love
to
yourself.
yeah, and I used to cry in the car, like, that was just my favorite time to cry.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you're listening to music, sometimes it's like a powerful,
Taps
loving
into
thing
something.
right, yeah,
Yes.
so, yeah, and a friend of mine was like, "What do you mean you cry in the car?" Like, "Don't doesn't everybody?" Like, this is
I
so
do all kinds of things. Yeah, car time. Yeah, that's where I
yeah,
get my best
like
ideas. Yeah.
yeah, I know, in the shower, in the car.
Yeah.
Mhm, and you almost got a monkey in Bali or
In
wherever
Bali.
you
Oh my God. He just ran up to me. I
I
was like
know.
so
You were
floored.
like,
Yeah,
"No, are you
bizarre. Yeah.
okay?"
Yeah. Like,
I
what are you
love it.
doing?
I
Yeah.
love it. I was like, "Yeah, he really wanted to come hang out with you." So
Like literally climbing, knocking my phone out of my hand.
mhm.
Yeah, Bali was a good time. That was fun. Yeah.
I'm glad you did that. Well, I'm
Yeah, me
really
too.
glad that you came here on the show
Me too.
to chat because I've been wanting you to come on. So I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll have
Are you
more
kidding me? Yeah.
conversations in the near future.
Anytime. Yeah, this is so fun. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, this is really fun.
Yeah, we will yeah, when you get back to this closer to this side of the world, you let me know. We'll
I will
I'll see if
always.
I can
Yeah.
come meet you somewhere.
I'm positive. Yeah, our paths will cross at some point again. Yes,
For
for
sure,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Awesome. Thank
Erin.
you.